The following review is a cross-post from my channel, The Film Lounge. If you enjoy film content, be sure to go and check that channel out. Today we're going to be talking about one of the best films ever made. It would go on to directly inspire the Stalker video game series and indirectly inspire hundreds of other pieces of media. It would also go on to rank as number 29 on the BFI's list of 50 greatest films ever made. The film that we're going to be talking about today is Stalker. I recently watched this film and to be honest, it immediately stunned me. This is truly one of the greats. So, let's talk about it in today's review. Stalker is a 1979 Soviet science fiction art film directed by Andrei Tarkovsky. The screenplay was written by Arkady and Boris Rogatsky and was loosely based on their 1972 novel Roadside Picnic. Much like Andrei Tarkovsky's other works, this film heavily features philosophical, psychological and theological themes. Unfortunately though, this film's reception at the time of its release was less than favourable. For example, the USSR State Committee for Cinematography believed that the film was slow and dull, to which Tarkovsky responded by saying that the slow pace and dullness at the start of the film was necessary. And I have to say, I very much respect him for defending his creative decisions. Thankfully, however, despite the poor initial reception this film received, it would go on to be considered an absolute masterpiece and one of the greatest films of all time. Many of the reviews of this film seem to praise its achievement of being high art and the exceptional exploration of its themes. With that said though, let's take a look at Stalker and see if it's deserving of its status as the 29th greatest film ever made. Stalker begins with a prologue delivered through on-screen text. The text explains that a mysterious and seemingly extraterrestrial place called the Zone has appeared. Within the Zone is a room, aptly enough named The Room. This room is said to grant the deepest desires of anyone who enters it, although this room is difficult to enter as it's sealed off by the government, who are seemingly terrified by it. The room is also protected by the ominous hazards of the Zone itself. Despite this, however, some people have learnt to navigate the Zone, and these people are known as Stalkers. This film follows a protagonist, a stalker, as he leads a writer and a professor through the Zone. And I have to say, I find this film's plot to be really interesting and creative. Not only do I think that, but I also think that this film's setup provides the film with an excellent space to explore its themes. However, this film does follow a common convention of art films. That convention being the reduced emphasis on telling a clear, goal-driven story. Instead, the emphasis is put on the other things that this film has to offer, which to be honest, isn't a bad thing at all. One of the things that this film has to offer is an exceptional exploration of its themes. In my view, those themes are primarily faith and desire, and I think that this film does an exceptionally good job at exploring those themes. We see the characters having in-depth discussions about these ideas, and honestly it's fascinating to see that take place. Another thing that's fascinating is seeing how the characters' relationship with their desires changes throughout the film. The film's ending is particularly impactful for this reason. I really do think that this film's excellent exploration of its themes is a huge part of what gives this film its distinct identity. Although I do have to say, the emphasis on themes and characters does mean that a lot of this film's runtime is spent not really advancing the plot. As such, some people might believe that this film is essentially just a group of people walking through a field and talking, which I guess for that reason, I would have to say that this film is definitely going to be more appealing to cinephiles than a casual viewer. Another thing that might make this film unsuitable for casual viewers is its length and slow pacing. This film is over 2 hours and 40 minutes long, and it has quite slow pacing. Personally though, I didn't find this to be an issue, and instead, I actually found that the film benefited greatly from its long runtime and slow pacing. Most notably, I found that the long runtime not only gives the film a long time to thoroughly explore its themes, but it also builds the audience's anticipation to see what's in the room. Another thing that I find to be notable about this film is the fact that much like Andrei Tarkovsky's other films, it can get rather cryptic and dreamlike. I found it to be rather interesting as it really serves the purpose of putting you inside the characters' heads, as well as making the zone seem rather dreamlike. It also gives the impression that the zone is perhaps in some way messing with the characters' heads. What I think is particularly excellent here is that despite the film being cryptic and dreamlike, I never found myself not understanding what was happening overall, which is something that I have experienced with similarly cryptic films. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this film is its visuals. In my opinion, this is one of the best aspects of the film. The cinematography and shot composition on display here is absolutely stunning. Every single shot in this film really is a masterfully crafted piece of art in its own right. There genuinely is not a dull shot in this entire film. I also have to say, the shots in this film are very much complemented by their long duration. With this film, you really get a long time to appreciate every single nuance in every single one of these gorgeous shots, which I have to say is a truly breathtaking experience, which is also seen in Andrei Tarkovsky's other films. Another effect that this film's long shot duration has is that quite often it leaves the audience feeling rather unsettled. An example of this is a scene early on in the film where the characters are travelling into the zone by railcar. The long shot duration here contributes greatly to the audience's feeling of discomfort. In this particular scene, the long shot duration also gives the audience quite a long time to really get into the minds of the characters, as we see their expressions for quite a long time. Speaking of the journey to the zone, this scene also features a masterfully handled transition from monochrome to colour. The zone is shown in colour, and the outside world is shown in monochrome with an orange tint. This really makes the zone seem distinct from the outside world. It also gives the impression that perhaps the protagonist feels more at home in the zone than he does in the outside world. Another aspect of this film that is absolutely exceptional is its sound design. The film makes use of rather alien sounds that were produced using a synthesizer, as opposed to more traditional methods of producing sound effects for a film. These alien sounds accompany more natural sounds that are recorded using traditional methods to create a rather jarring juxtaposition effect. The use of these alien sounds really does create the impression that something is not quite right. It also gives the film a rather dreamlike and otherworldly feel. For an excellent example of this film's usage of sound effects, we need to go back to the railcar scene that I previously mentioned. In this scene, we hear the railcar being juxtaposed with rather alien sounds. Not only does it give the audience the impression that something might be wrong, but it also establishes an otherworldly feel as the characters enter the zone. So, those are my thoughts on Stalker. In conclusion, I think that Stalker is an absolutely excellent film, which is truly deserving of its status as one of the best films ever made. I believe that its strengths are primarily in its exceptional exploration of its themes, its stunning cinematography, and its ominous atmosphere. I also think that this is an amazing art film for cinephiles, and although this film likely has limited appeal for a more casual audience, I believe that this film will become an instant favourite for any cinema enthusiasts, myself included. But with that said, that's it for today's review. What do you think of Stalker? Will you be watching it? Have you seen it already? Let me know in the comments section below, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.